Hello and welcome. In this video, we will discover 7 ways to turn on a woman. First of all, you need to understand female sexuality. The feminine body is beautiful, with erogenous spots embellishing the most unlikely parts of the body. According to the World Psychiatric Association, one can understand sexual health as, quote, a dynamic and harmonious state involving erotic and reproductive experiences and fulfillment within a broader physical, emotional, interpersonal, social, and spiritual sense of well-being, in a culturally informed, freely and responsibly chosen and ethical framework, not merely the absence of sexual disorders. Whether you identify as a man or a woman, you must understand that turning a woman on is not just limited to the physical aspect. You have to understand what she desires and how she wants it. Always ask for consent even before you consider sexually arousing a woman. If you think it might be a dampener on the mood, incorporate it into your arousing talk. For instance, do you like what I'm doing here? Do you want me to go on? Are some arousing ways to subtly ask for consent. With the most important bit about consent out of the way, let's look at what we have here on our hands. Anais Nin, one of the most famous erotica authors, wrote a few words in her book called Delta of Venus, and there is no better place to start than this. She says, I had the feeling that Pandora's box contained the mysteries of women's sensuality, so different from a man's, and for which man's language was so inadequate. The language of sex had yet to be invented. The language of the senses was yet to be explored. So, here are 7 tips to open that Pandora's box and turn on your woman. But just before, make sure you subscribe to the channel and don't forget to download your free book to successfully seduce any girl by clicking on the link in the description below. Number 1, first rule. So here's the first tip. Suppose you have been dating for a while and have become quite comfortable with each other. If your partner has expressed sexual interest in you, you must slip in a few genuine questions about what they like in bed, how they like to be treated in bed, what particularly gets them sexually excited, any particular sexual preference, etc. However, don't overwhelm them with these questions. Ask them maybe 1 or 2 questions at a time, and then allow a significant bit of time to pass before asking some more questions. Once you've gathered an idea about her likes and dislikes, you can start doing your homework on how to incorporate these into your moves to sexually arouse her. It doesn't stop here. Make sure that on the next day you ask her how it was for her, what worked for her more when you were making your advances. These make her feel special and will give you a chance to know what works. Number 2, second rule. A rule of thumb is to always follow the love triangle of foreplay. There's more to foreplay than is just assumed from the get-go. It's not just about the right touches, but also your personal contribution. The first turn-on is hygiene. Well-groomed men are always an immediate turn-on. In addition to that, smell is also a leading factor for women. Your smell will leave a lasting impression on your woman, so you must remember to pay attention to it. Take regular baths and clean yourself well. Dental hygiene is also a contributing factor in the first bit of the triangle of foreplay. Now coming to the second part, there are many women who want to connect before sex. This is not entirely demisexuality and would be too limiting a term. So let's just say that while there are some women who genuinely wouldn't bother about mental compatibility for sex, a large number of women need some degree of emotional connection. Don't just try to rush through to the so-called climax of it, literally and metaphorically. Instead, give your woman a chance to help you perceive what it is she's actually looking for. What is it that she's actually looking for? A number of surveys have revealed that women have the tendency to be a little more emotionally connected before intertwining physically. The third angle of the triangle, the one for which the tension has been building up, the one for which you've been eagerly waiting along with your partner, the final angle of touch. This is the third angle and the most crucial. You have to be well aware of the moves you make and the way you touch your woman. Before you start getting all heated up and going all over her genitals, stop! That's not only a major turnoff, but also comes off as needy. So just pace yourself and start turning her on with soft and gentle touches and passionate kisses. Number 3, third rule. Curate your moves according to how much you know her. Make sure you understand her sensuality. There are various erogenous zones in a woman's body, which can be triggered in a number of ways. Know that misguided pornographic videos can't lead you to turn your woman on. Each woman has a specific need, and she will be turned on if you cater to her particular desires. It's a myth to think that all women will get turned on by the same tricks up your sleeve. You can absolutely use them, but modify them to suit your woman's arousal needs. There are many ways to turn on a woman if you have an idea about the female erogenous zones and what they crave. Well, for starters, beyond the genitals, there are other spots such as the base of the throat, nape of the neck, navel, back of the neck, inner thighs, upper arms, wrists, and even ankles and feet. Now your job is to try to find all of these erogenous zones. Remember when Monica from Friends made a chart of 7 erogenous spots and made combinations till climax? That's what you must do. It must be specific to what your girl likes and her needs. Number 4, fourth rule. You must familiarize yourself with her body. Make sure that you know which parts of her body need special attention. Know what places are prone to tickling sensations. Try to make her feel safe enough to be open about the parts of her body that makes her insecure. You can't just bury your face in her breasts and hope that she will get turned on. Sometimes the genitals aren't even the primary erogenous zones of a woman. Keep asking her questions during your sexy talk with her. Ask her how she wants to feel you against her. Give her a chance to make you familiar with her body. You may often think she will like something, but she might not actually be into that. Again, there might be a peculiar spot on her body that you couldn't have guessed, but one that makes her turn on like no other. You must make your woman feel sexually liberated and not judged by you. Let her be who she wants to be without demeaning her, and that's going to be an A1 turn-on, hands down. Number 5, fifth rule. Oral sex is a very significant part of turning on women. It's not a surprise that almost 79% of women have been known to climax to oral sex alone. It is also a huge turn-on. But there's a technique to it. The first step, no doubt, is consent. Ask her if she's okay with being that vulnerable and ready for having oral sex performed on her. A lot of women are hesitant because they're conscious about their vaginal shape, color, or odor. If she says yes, you can start by slowly grazing her inner thighs. Slide your hands all over her body and leave a soft trail of kisses as you do. You can stop at the base of her throat and suck on it just a bit while going a little higher on her inner thigh. Start by softly kissing and sucking on her feet and keep going upwards. Stop when you're between her thighs. Press your face between her thighs and take the slightest pause here. This pause is to let her know that you're waiting to know if it's okay for you to go on. If she responds in a positive way, you can go ahead and start performing on her. Don't start off by making it way too rough. Do it softly and slowly, giving her a chance to feel everything you're doing with your mouth. Sixth rule. Experimenting with various kinds of lubricants and sex toys is also a way to turn women on. For this, you'll need prior permission from your partner. In this kind of thing, it's usually best to create the ambiance for a role play or a certain kind of sexual arousal. Even lubricants are good ways to sexually arouse a woman. Start with simple sex toys instead of going all in and using the more complex ones. Start on a softer note by putting a vibrator on the initial level of vibration. Hold it very softly against the labia or the clit. You can gradually keep increasing the power on the sex toys if your partner starts responding to it and asking for more. You can go ahead and be generous with your use of lubes. In this case, you can also try a teasing game with full consent of your partner. A lot of women are into BDSM, and if it's one of your sexual partner's kinks, she is going to absolutely want to go ahead with it. It's up to you how creative you can get based on how much time you've taken to know your partner and her sexual fantasies in roleplay. All of these will combine and come together to determine how much a woman will be turned on by the sex toys and lubes. You can make it a bigger turn-on for her by softly pressing the vibrator against some other parts of her body before finally stopping at the vagina. Number 7, seventh rule. If you're having sex with the same partner for a long time, no matter how good the sex is, there is usually a point of stagnation at which it might become boring to both of you. In order to keep things spiced up and your woman's toes curled through it all, you have to experiment with new sex methods. Some women even like having food licked off their body in certain ways, and it turns them on to a great extent. A woman usually likes roleplay, different kinds of foreplay, and even a certain ambiance might turn her on. Not only is it the excitement of trying out something new, but also the fact that you'd want to put so much effort into something for her, which makes her feel special and turns her on even more easily. What can be more arousing for a woman than a man who genuinely pays attention to her kinks and strives to fulfill those needs? Try to combine one or more of these sexually arousing tricks to turn on your woman and make it the most pleasurable experience for her. Concluding note. On an ending note, you can try setting up an atmosphere for her into the mood without even touching her. For example, you can perch yourself on the edge of her bathtub and read out loud erotic literature to her. And use your sexy voice. You know the one I'm talking about, the one she loves. You can set up a movie date on the bed with a really steamy movie and let her enjoy herself and take in the ambiance that you've set up for her. You'll be amazed to see how easily your woman gets turned on. So use these 7 rules carefully and ensure she gets the utmost pleasure. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and especially subscribe to the channel. You are also free to receive the new book, 9 Keys to Seduce Any Girl, by clicking on the link in the description below.